When a millionaire's daughter cried on a flight, an incredible librarian revealed a life-changing secret that would alter her path forever. Jenna paced nervously in the packed Dallas airport, her designer shoes tapping impatiently on the tile floor. Stifling a sob, she fought against the suffocating expectations of her tech billionaire father, who had little regard for her dreams. The weight of his ambition crushed her spirit, leaving her feeling like a marionette on strings. But as she boarded the plane, unease settled in her chest, tightening as she took her seat. The cabin buzzed with chatter. Nearby passengers joked about flights and weather as they arranged their belongings. Jenna felt isolated, a gilded cage wrapped around her heart. The moment she sank into her seat, the facade cracked. Tears streamed down her cheeks, whispering stories of anxiety, fear, and disconnection. It was a sight few ever witnessed, the millionaire's daughter, bare and unguarded, drowning amid the blessings of privilege. Tom, a 45-year-old librarian from a small town, noticed her distress. With a warmth that radiated acceptance, he sensed her pain and couldn't ignore it. Gathering his courage, he approached her gently. "Mind if I sit?" he asked, his kind eyes inviting her trust. Despite her tendency to retreat into her shell, something about him felt safe. As they spoke, Tom shared his own story, filled with hurdles of his childhood, where he fought against the stares of judgment and the grasp of poverty. He painted vivid pictures of nights spent in the library because it was a haven, a world away from harsh realities. As he spoke of his life's mission to uplift others through literacy, Jenna felt a shift within her. His humility contrasted sharply with her life, where connections felt like transactions. She fidgeted, pondering her life drenched in wealth yet devoid of authenticity. Overhead lights flickered, illuminating her revelation. Tom's words resonated deeper than she anticipated. He spoke of what it meant to define success on one's terms, rather than someone else's. Success isn't measured by numbers but by laughter shared and lives touched, he stated with conviction. Tears brimmed in Jenna's eyes again, but this time they symbolized release, a letting go of ingrained expectations. The cabin's atmosphere shifted, becoming both intimate and electric. The exchange went from a simple conversation to a shared exploration of their souls. Jenna's burdens fell into perspective against Tom's stories, provoking her to confront her privileged life, a life that felt increasingly disconnected from reality. What did success mean, really? The question ignited an inner fire, forcing Jenna to reevaluate where she belonged in her father's empire. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As they prepared to land, a bittersweet pang gripped Jenna. A friendship was blooming that bridged their worlds. Would she have the courage to integrate this new perspective and question her father's vision? What else could she create beyond the layers of wealth? Tom, right beside her, batted away doubts of his significance, encouraged by Jenna's vulnerability. Their journey together had only just begun, leaving Jenna standing at the precipice of change, her heart racing with hope and uncertainty. Just as realization dawned, the flight attendant's voice broke the moment, bringing them back to reality. Stepping off the plane, Jenna's mind whirled with questions, and one stood out above all. How could one simple librarian inspire real change in her world? As she walked through the terminal, the ground beneath her shifted, setting the stage for all that was yet to come. Jenna stepped off the plane, her heart still thudding from the unexpected connection she'd made. Tom followed closely behind her, his presence a comforting anchor amid the bustling crowd. As they walked through the terminal, Jenna caught snippets of laughter and excited chatter, but their voices felt distant. Her mind raced with thoughts, an electric mix of fear and hope. What now? She mumbled to herself as she trudged through the throngs of travelers. A blurry vision of her future loomed ahead. Would she be forever trapped in a life designed by her father's expectations? The thought sent chills down her spine. Are you all right? Tom's voice was gentle yet probing. His concern cut through her spiraling thoughts. She paused and looked at him, his kind eyes searching her face for answers. I just don't want to disappoint him, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But I don't know how to break away from his shadow. Tom nodded, his expression understanding. It's difficult to make a choice between the path laid out for us and the one we truly want to follow. It's like standing at a crossroads, each direction promising something different. Jenna chewed her lip, her heart pounding in her chest. Tom's words were powerful reflections, each one resonating with her inner turmoil. But turning away from her father's plans felt like daring to jump off a cliff without knowing if a safety net lay below. As they walked toward the baggage claim, she could feel the suffocating weight of expectations creeping back in. The terminal's bright lights began to blend into sharp shadows of anxiety. What if I fail? What if I don't find anything I love? Failure is part of the journey, Jenna, Tom said, pausing to glance directly into her eyes. But if you never try, you'll never find those things that ignite your passion. Everyone charts their own course. Yours is just beginning. Every word he spoke enveloped her like a warm hug, dispersing the tension wrapped around her heart. It felt less like a flight away from her life and more like a thrilling step into something new. I want to help people, Jenna stated suddenly, her voice stronger than before. I want to make a difference like you do. The realization hung between them, vibrant and full of possibilities. Tom smiled, though it was tinged with a hint of surprise. Then maybe the key lies in exploring what that means for you. Volunteer, get involved. Start small and build. So, what do I say to my father? She asked, anxiety returning to creep in. Tell him the truth, he urged. Tell him what you want. You'd be surprised at how listening can change things. They finally reached the baggage claim, where luggage tumbled down the conveyor belt like the roller coasters of emotions racing inside her. But Jenna felt a flicker of determination ignite. Thank you for everything, Tom, she said, swallowing hard. It feels like I've woken up for the first time in years. Their eyes locked for a heartbeat, a shared understanding passing between them. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, tearing her attention away from this pivotal moment. Is everything okay? He asked. Jenna checked the screen, sighing as she read a message from her father, reminding her of the dinner they had planned. Old habits of fear and obligation threatened to wrap around her once again. I have to go, she said hesitantly. Her heart felt like it was being torn in two. Whatever choice you make, remember you have the power to pursue your own path, Tom reminded her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. As she stepped away, Jenna felt the echo of his touch linger, a reminder that in the span of one day, she had grown. Yes, it was just the beginning, and there were still challenges ahead, but a new sense of freedom blossomed within. As she left the airport, stepping into the world outside, uncertainty still lingered like a specter. Would she embrace the courage to forge her own identity? Would she defy her father's vision? The questions hung thick in the air, pressing in on her as she headed to the car waiting for her. There was no doubt the road ahead would be turbulent, but the thought of discovery thrilled her like nothing had before. And as the car pulled away, Jenna took a deep breath, ready to face what was next. What did it truly mean to follow her own dreams? Jenna sank into the back seat of the car, the city lights flickering by as they slipped into the night. The driver, an older man with kind eyes, turned to give her a glance in the rearview mirror. You all right, miss? He asked gently, and she nodded, though her heart felt heavy. Thoughts of her father's expectations clung to her like a thick fog. Every tick of the clock felt like a reminder of the weight she was carrying. Dinner with him was just a few minutes away, and as nerves twisted in her stomach, she couldn't shake the feeling of impending confrontation. What would she even say? The truth felt vast and intimidating, while her father's love for her loomed like a mountain in the distance. Would he understand her desire to carve a different path? Or would he dismiss it as a silly whim? As she sat there, her mind drifted back to Tom's words. Tell him the truth. Could it be that simple? The car finally stopped outside the restaurant. It was a trendy place, bustling with groups celebrating, laughter bubbling through the air. Jenna felt a pang of envy as she watched families enjoy their time together, the kind of togetherness she craved. She didn't need wealth or status, she wanted connection. Taking a deep breath, she stepped out. She smoothed down her dress and adjusted her hair, hoping it would somehow project confidence. As she entered the restaurant, her father's familiar figure came into view, sitting at a corner table, his expression unreadable. "Jenna!" he called, rising to meet her. His embrace felt warm but firm, reminding her of the expectations that came with it. "You look lovely, as always." "Thanks, Dad," she replied, a smile barely masking the turmoil within. They settled into their seats, and the waiter arrived with menus. Jenna's mind was racing. She couldn't focus on the meal. Instead, she felt the conversation looming ahead like an exam she wasn't prepared for. "Did you have a good flight?" her father asked, his eyes scanning her face. "It was different," she murmured, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of the tablecloth. "I met someone." He raised an eyebrow, a mix of curiosity and caution on his face. "Oh? A friend from school?" "Something like that," she said, her heart racing as the words formed in her mind. "He helped me realize a few things." Her father leaned forward, the warmth of his interest barely mitigating the chilly anxiety settling in her chest. "What kind of things?" Here it was the moment she had to dive in. "I've been thinking, Dad, about what I really want, and it's not necessarily what you've planned for me." The silence at the table thickened, and Jenna held her breath, watching his expression flicker through confusion and concern. "What do you mean?" he asked carefully, suddenly the magnate she had known all her life, assessing and dissecting. "I want to help people, Dad," she said, her voice stronger now. "I want to find a way to make a difference. I'm not sure that finance is where my heart lies anymore. I want to explore new options, maybe volunteer or work in a library, maybe even start a community program." Her father's reaction was instantaneous. His expression shifted, a mixture of disappointment and disbelief shadowing his features. "Jenna, that's a noble idea, but do you really think that's practical? You've got so much potential in your current path. But I'll be living for you, not for me. I want to discover my passion, not just earn a living," she insisted, determination creeping into her tone. For a long moment, time stood still, their eyes locked in a battle of wills. She could feel the weight of his expectations pressing down on her. Finally, he sighed. "You know I only want what's best for you." As the words lingered, her heart raced. Would she break free from these chains or get lost in them? "Dad, I know you love me. But I need to find my own way. I need to know who I am without your shadow." As the waiter returned to refill their glasses, Jenna felt like she was living on a tightrope, balancing between her father's wishes and her own. Would he hear her? Would he understand? The moment hung between them, filled with unspoken fears and silent hopes, ready to tip in either direction. Just then, a familiar face flashed through the restaurant's entrance, and Jenna's heart skipped a beat. It was Tom, looking around the crowd as if searching for someone. What would he do if he saw her? Would he offer her the support she desperately needed, or would this only complicate her already tenuous situation? Tom stood at the entrance, his eyes darting over the crowd, and for a fleeting second, Jenna thought she could see recognition flicker across his face. Her heart raced, a mixture of anxiety and hope swirling within her. The scene felt surreal, the laughter of the diners around her a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions brewing at her table. "Is everything all right, Jenna?" Her father's voice cut through her thoughts, laced with concern. She forced a smile, but her gaze remained glued to Tom, unsure of how to navigate the unexpected situation. "He's just a friend from school," she replied, but the lie felt thin, almost transparent. Her father studied her, the lines on his forehead deepening with unspoken questions. "Are you sure?" he pressed gently, but there was an underlying tension in his voice that made her stomach twist. Jenna opened her mouth to answer, but Tom took a tentative step forward, then another, finally threading his way through the maze of tables. His presence was magnetic, and Jenna felt a pull towards him, a connection she hadn't anticipated. "Is that," her father began, but Jenna raised a hand to halt him. She needed to face this moment, to be honest with both men in her life, one representing her past and the other her hopeful future. "Dad, just give me a second," she said, her voice firmer than she felt. Her heart drummed in her chest as she met Tom's eyes, which were now locked onto hers. He smiled, and the warmth radiating from that smile made her feel seen, understood, even as her father simmered with confusion beside her. Tom approached the table, his demeanor calm yet electric. "Jenna, I didn't know you were here," he said, his voice low but clear amid the din. He had a way of making her feel like the only person in a crowded room. "I wasn't sure if I'd defined you. I just wanted to check in." This is my father," Jenna said, suddenly aware of the gravity of the moment. "Dad, this is Tom, my friend." "A pleasure," Tom said, extending his hand. Her father shook it, but the tension was palpable. It was as if the air crackled around them. "Nice to meet you, Tom. You know Jenna well?" Her father's tone had shifted, now pointed, as if assessing an opponent on a battlefield. "Yeah, I got to know Jenna during a community project," Tom explained, his eyes shifting back to Jenna. "She really cares about making a difference." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Here was Tom, a reflection of everything she wanted, affirming her desires to her father. But the discomfort was immediate. She could feel her father tense, thoughts racing through his mind without a filter. "Community project," he echoed, skepticism lacing his tone. "Is that really a sustainable path for someone with your background, Jenna? You could be so much more." "But Dad, I don't want to be just what people expect," Jenna said, her voice rising slightly, a flicker of defiance igniting inside her. "Tom gets it. He helps people every day. He inspires me." Her heart was pounding now, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Was this the moment she would finally break through that barrier? The waiter appeared again, interrupting the growing tension by placing their meals on the table. But Jenna barely noticed. All she could focus on was Tom's steady gaze, which lit a fire in her spirit. "I'm here for you," he mouthed silently, and Jenna felt fortified, a spark of clarity cutting through her confusion. "Dad, I know you want what's best for me, but I need to follow my heart," she said, the words tumbling from her lips. "I want to create my own path, no matter how messy it might seem to you." Her father's expression darkened, the disappointment palpable. "So you're abandoning everything we worked for?" Before Jenna could answer, Tom interjected, "It's not abandoning, it's evolving." His voice was calm, grounding even. "Sometimes we have to seek our own truth, regardless of where we started or who we're meant to be on paper." Her father fell silent, his lips pressing together tightly. Jenna caught the flicker of internal struggle in his eyes. The weight of it all made her pulse race, a mix of fear and resolve boiling inside her. As she looked from Tom to her father, she realized this was more than just about dinner, it was about her future, her freedom, and the very essence of who she wanted to become. And just as the moment felt irrevocably heavy, her father finally spoke, his voice quieter, but laced with an unexpected tenderness. "Jenna," but before he could finish, the restaurant fell into a hush as someone started to scream in the distance outside, shattering the fragile atmosphere they had created. What could happen next? Would this moment push her father to finally understand her or drive a deeper wedge between them? The scream pierced through the air, sending a ripple of anxiety through the room. Jenna's heart leaped into her throat as she turned toward the sound, her body tensing instinctively. The laughter that had once filled the space faded into a fragile silence, leaving only the echo of panic hanging heavy in the air. Her father stiffened, his eyes wide, and for a moment, Jenna could see every layer of his protective instincts flood to the surface. He looked at Tom, then back at her, a silent question brewing beneath the surface. "What was that?" he whispered, his voice barely above a breath. "I don't know," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Her fingers clenched around the edge of the table, the cool wood grounding her even as emotion surged inside. Tom's gaze flicked to the restaurant entrance, his face a mask of concern but determination. "Stay here," he said, turning slightly toward the noise. But Jenna couldn't just stay put. This was her moment, and she felt the weight of it all, her father's expectations, her own aspirations, and now this disruption, a metaphor for everything that was bubbling just beneath the surface. "I'm coming with you," she said firmly, rising from her seat before Tom could object. She felt the flutter of protest in her father's eyes, but there wasn't time to argue. They were all sharing in this moment, and for better or worse, she was determined to face whatever it was together. As they stepped outside, the cool breeze hit her face, a stark contrast to the warmth of the restaurant. The street was chaotic, a group of people gathered around something she couldn't quite see. Waves of worry coursed through her, and she moved closer, Tom right beside her. "Stay behind me," he instructed, his voice low and protective. But Jenna didn't want to hide, she wanted to be a part of this unfolding story, however frightening. They emerged into the open space, just in time to see a woman on the ground, her screams subsiding into shocked sobs. A nearby man was kneeling beside her, trying to calm her down, brushing away the hair from her face as if that would chase away the terror. "What happened?" Tom asked, and Jenna could hear the concern in his tone. She joined Tom in assessing the scene, her heart racing, but not just from fear, it was adrenaline, brewing a fierce instinct to help. There's something about her. Jenna's voice trailed off as the woman looked up, her tear-filled gaze locking on to Jenna's. It was a flash of recognition, a moment that struck Jenna harder than she expected. Suddenly, she knew this wasn't just a stranger. "I can't breathe," the woman gasped, panic washing over her unmistakably. There was such rawness in her fear that it twisted something deep inside Jenna. She had seen this woman before, at the community center she volunteered in last summer. She was a mother from the neighborhood, someone who had shared stories and laughter. "I can help!" Jenna exclaimed, moving closer, driven by urgency. She knelt beside the woman and reached for her hand. "Breathe with me. Focus on my voice." There was something powerful in that connection, as if the world around them faded away. Her father and Tom exchanged looks, caught off guard by Jenna's resolve. But she barely noticed. All she could focus on was guiding the woman's breath, feeling a sense of purpose swell within her. "Just breathe in and out," she instructed softly, her hand squeezing the woman's to reassure her. It felt like something shifted in the air. Jenna realized this was what she wanted to do, this act of connection, of compassion. In that moment, everything became clear. As the woman began to regain her composure, Jenna felt the warmth of hands on her shoulders, Tom's steady grip grounding her while her father's hand rested there too, a silent agreement, a bridge forming between their perspectives. "Thank you," the woman whispered, tears still glistening on her cheeks. Relief washed over Jenna, a wave of pride crashing inside her. And just like that, she noticed her father's eyes softening, a hint of understanding breaking through, enough to shift the atmosphere. But even as the moment lingered, Jenna felt a flicker of unease in her chest. This was only the beginning, a moment of connection amid a storm. But now, as the minute hung in the balance, she knew they still needed to face the bigger question: could this single moment alter the trajectory of her life? And could her father finally hear her truth? As they walked back inside, the uncertainty of what would happen next loomed larger than ever. Would she have the courage to speak her heart, or would fears hold her back once again? Walking back into the restaurant, Jenna felt an unexpected rush of gratitude for the ordinary sounds: the clinking of glasses, the murmur of conversations, the faint smell of garlic bread. It was like stepping back into the warm embrace of normalcy. But beneath that comforting shell, her heart thudded loudly in her chest, echoing her thickening resolve. Tom fell back a little, allowing Jenna to stride alongside her father. His presence was steady, a reassuring shield against the unease that still lingered in the air. "You did well out there," he said quietly, his praise illuminating the uncertainty hanging around them. It felt foreign, but she welcomed it like a warm light after a stormy night. Her father, still processing the wave of emotions from the scene outside, glanced sideways at Jenna. "How did you know to help her?" he asked, genuinely curious. "I just knew," Jenna replied, instinctively brushing her hair back. "I've seen her before." she asked from the community center. His expression softened slightly, brows furrowing as though wrestling with an internal battle. For so long, conversations with her father had felt as stilted as a play rehearsed without heart. But now, with this shared experience weighing heavily on the room, a new layer was being added to their complicated relationship. "I didn't realize how much you care for people," he finally admitted. "I always thought," Jenna interrupted gently. "Dad, it's not about just caring. I want to do something with that care. I want to help in a real way." The weight of her words pressed upon them, a 1-2 punch that shifted the air. She could see the barriers crumbling in his eyes, tiny fissures revealing a glimpse of vulnerability and understanding. "We can talk more when we get home," her father said, but it felt like an unfinished promise, a door slightly ajar. A pang of fear washed over her at the thought. What if the door were to shut again? It was too easy to sink back into silence, too easy to slip into the role of the obedient daughter expected to walk the line he had drawn. Yet more than ever, she craved to share her dreams, her insecurities, and the nagging fear that had taunted her for years. Just as the thought swelled within her, Tom's voice broke through the clinking of cutlery. "Hey, Jenna," he caught her eye and a serious look flickered across his face. "You were incredible back there. I mean it. You saved her." "It wasn't just me," Jenna said, the humility escaping her before she could filter it. Swallowing back the rush of emotions, she glanced away, nervous energy spilling over her cheeks. "I just did what felt right." "Even if it was just that, it was still amazing," Tom insisted, an edge of admiration creeping into his tone that made Jenna blush. She could hardly look at him, knowing the impact that one moment had on her heart. They settled back at the table, but the air crackled with more than just ordinary conversation now. There was an electric tension that hung in the space between them, a question left hanging, a bridge not yet crossed. As they sat, the atmosphere felt charged, the weight of unsaid words pressing heavily against the walls. Jenna could sense her father watching her, considering the depths of their connection. Deep down, she could feel the change stirring, like leaves fluttering before a storm. "Jenna, I want to understand you." "I really do," her father said slowly. "But I need you to help me figure it out too." A ripple of hope surged through her. Maybe this was the moment she had been waiting for. Maybe they could finally meet each other halfway. But just as she opened her mouth to respond, the front door burst open, and a young girl dashed in, her shoes squeaking against the tiled floor. A sudden shout caught everyone's attention. "Mom! You have to come quick! There's something on fire in the kitchen!" The room erupted into chaos, patrons rising from their seats, curiosity morphing into a worrisome panic. Jenna's heart raced again, this time fueled by adrenaline. Would she pursue the truth of her heart amidst the flames of distraction, or would fear pull her back? And in that instant, Jenna realized this: her journey wasn't just about finding her voice. It was also about having the courage to speak it, no matter the fires that threatened to engulf her. Would she seize the moment? The chaos in the restaurant escalated quickly. The clamor of chairs scraping against the floor and the frantic voices of startled diners blended into a cacophony of panic. Jenna instinctively grabbed her father's arm, feeling a mix of fear and determination course through her. She wasn't one to stand idly by. "Stay here," she told Tom, her voice steady despite the rush of adrenaline. Her heart pounded as she pushed through the scattering crowd, the heat of the kitchen flames almost palpable even from a distance. As she approached the kitchen, smoke billowed out through the swinging doors, thick and gray. It seemed to curl like fingers towards the ceiling, eating away at the air. The young girl who had burst and was crying now, a small figure overwhelmed by the chaos around her. That sight struck something deep in Jenna. "Hey, it's okay," Jenna said, kneeling beside the girl to meet her eyes. "Can you tell me what happened?" The girl sniffed, wiping her tears. "I was just getting some food and then, it just started." Everyone was yelling. The girl's panic mirrored what Jenna felt inside, but she shook her head encouragingly. "We need to get everyone out of here, all right? Can you help me?" With a small nod, the girl took a deep breath, particularly brave for someone so young. Together, Hand in hand, they maneuvered their way towards the people nearest the kitchen. Jenna felt the growing heat behind her, a reminder that time was still of the essence. "Everyone! We need to move!" she called out, projecting her voice so it cut through the noise. "The kitchen is on fire! Gather at the exit!" Her father's voice chimed in from behind, directed at the other diners, urging everyone to stay calm. The tone rested heavily on her heart. He was here with her, a newfound sense of teamwork igniting between them, growing from this shared crisis. As if on cue, a couple of kitchen staff members rushed out into the dining area, their faces pale, eyes wide. Panic flickered like fire in their eyes, but they quickly joined Jenna in guiding people to safety. It wasn't just about the flames, it was a battle against fear taking hold. "Jenna!" Tom's shout broke through the din, and she turned, instinctively searching his face. "Get out! I'll help them." "No!" She found her voice rising. "We all need to leave together." His expression was torn, somewhere between wanting to be brave and wishing to protect her. But Jenna felt she couldn't just retreat. She grabbed his hand, tugging him toward the exit, where a steady stream of people were filtering out into the cool evening air. Her father was near them, ushering the last of the patrons outside. The moment their eyes met amidst the frantic scene, Jenna saw a flicker of pride in his gaze, the barriers of their pasts crumbling just a little more. Once out, the group gathered outside under the gathering night sky, gasping for breath, eyes darting back toward the restaurant. The flickering flames had already become a distant yet ominous spectacle. "It's going to be okay," Tom said, squeezing Jenna's hand a little tighter. She turned to him, feeling a connection deepen. "You were amazing, Jenna?" It was her father's voice coming over as he approached, worry etched into his features. "You okay?" "I'm fine." But his concern made her heart swell. "Really?" Then, as sirens wailed in the distance, echoing like their hearts still racing, Jenna searched for a way to transition this moment into something meaningful. "Dad, about what we were talking about earlier." But before she could finish, the girl she had helped before pulled her gently at her sleeve. "Thank you for being brave," she whispered, her wide eyes sparkling with gratitude. Jenna knelt down to look her in the eyes. "You were brave too." Maybe this life-changing moment was just the spark she needed. Her father stepped closer, listening intently, wanting to understand more than ever. In this unexpected chaos, amidst the chaos of flames and fear, something else was unfolding, a new bond, a deeper connection. But before Jenna could find the words that had been so guarded, the sound of a fire truck arriving shattered the moment. The calming effect of the sirens drowned out her thoughts as she felt the rapid pacing of her heart settle into something more profound. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about community, courage, and the connections that would be formed, no matter how deep the flames could burn. Would this fire turn out to be the catalyst for change she had been seeking all along? The night air was thick with tension as fire engines lit up the scene, their red and white lights flashing like urgent beacons. The firemen moved swiftly, grabbing hoses and positioning themselves against the building that had moments ago been a hub of laughter and conversation. Everything felt surreal in this quiet aftermath, as if the chaos had been a dream that left them all shaken yet strangely empowered. Jenna pulled the still-wet girl closer, shivering slightly despite the warmth of the night. "What's your name?" she asked gently, trying to distract her from the horrors they'd just faced. "Maya," the girl replied softly, a hint of strength already creeping into her voice. "Well, Maya, do you know anyone who is still inside?" Jenna asked, glancing back toward the restaurant, heart pounding anew with worry. "My mom, she was working. I can't see her." Maya's eyes darted around, scanning the crowd of waiting spectators, hope fading. Jenna's stomach twisted at the sight of Maya's small frame trembling in anxiety. "We'll find her. Let us stay together," she reassured, glancing between her father and Tom, who stood nearby, concerned expressions painted on their faces. "Stay right here," Tom instructed the two girls before making his way towards the firemen to gather news about those still inside. Jenna felt a momentary pang of fear. What if they couldn't get anyone out? "Hang on, okay?" Jenna said, kneeling down again to catch Maya's gaze. The spark she had seen was flickering but not entirely gone. Sometimes brave people surprise us. Let us be brave together. Maya nodded, her grip on Jenna's hand tightening. The sound of water blasting against the flames echoed around them, a rhythmic and almost soothing backdrop to their shared panic. Behind them, her father appeared, urgency lining his face. The firefighters are working hard, Jenna. They're doing everything they can. He seemed to struggle with his own emotions, perhaps guilt for being safe while others remained in danger. Jenna wanted to comfort him but had no words. Is it wrong to want to go back in? Jenna asked, looking at her father with wide eyes. I feel like I need to help. You did help, Jenna. His voice softened. You got people out, and that's incredible. Let them do their job now. We need to stay safe and help the ones who made it out. He placed a hand on her shoulder, and despite the worry, his strength pulsed through her. Just then, 2 firefighters emerged from the smoke, carrying a figure draped in a blanket. The air seemed to still as everyone held their breath, straining to see. Maya gasped, jumping to her feet. That's my mom. Jenna's heart quickened as Maya dashed forward, nearly tripping over her own feet. She watched, a mixture of relief and heartbreak invading her chest, as the figure stepped closer into the light. Mom! M.O.M. Maya cried, throwing herself into the warm embrace of her mother, their reunion raw and heartwarming, exhaled sighs of relief breaking like waves crashing gently against rocks. As Jenna stood aside, emotions flickered within her. She realized how important these connections were: family, courage, and finding strength in one another. Just then, a fireman approached her father, pointing toward the restaurant. Bad news, the fireman said, his tone heavy. It's not just the kitchen. The blaze is pretty extensive. Reality crashed back in, a heavy weight. The warmth of family love ignited in her heart didn't erase the impending loss of the restaurant, the laughter, the memories, the togetherness. There was no more standing still. She felt a powerful wave of determination wash over her. What if we can help rebuild? Jenna said, surprising herself with the idea. If this community came together. Her father surveyed the chaos ahead, the smoldering building a backdrop for the future. That's a great thought, Jenna. He turned to Tom, who nodded with promise and excitement beginning to bloom. If they looked out for one another and came together, maybe they could rise from this. Jenna felt her heart swell with a newfound purpose. Together, right? She said, squeezing her father's hand tighter. Always, he replied, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. As sirens continued wailing and the fires slowly began to be tamed, Jenna realized that this was more than just a fire, it was an awakening. But as the night deepened and the community began to disperse, one thought lingered in her mind: would this moment be enough to connect them beyond the ashes? Would the strength they found tonight spill into the future? And that question held the promise of more than just survival. It could build something beautiful from the flames. What might they discover together if they dared to rebuild? Jenna barely registered the cool night air as the chatter around her began to rise. The crowd had transformed into a murmur of hushed voices, some filled with grief, others with determination. Its rhythm pulsed in time with the distant hissing of the still smoldering flames, a bitter reminder of what was lost. Did you hear about the old man who used to sit by the window? A woman's voice cut through the noise, shaky yet tinged with nostalgia. His stories always made the waiting feel shorter. Jenna squeezed Maya's hand tightly. Memories surged within her, 2 memories of brightly colored tables, laughter along with the aroma of fresh food wafting from the kitchen. They were ghosts now, haunting this space where community thrived, now threatened by a cruel night. What if the stories don't stop? Maya said, glancing up at Jenna, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. What if we keep telling them? Will that help? Yes, Jenna breathed, feeling suddenly encouraged by Maya's spark. That's how we keep the spirit alive. Through stories. A flicker of uncertainty passed through Maya's expression. But what if no one wants to tell them? Then we'll make them want to, Jenna declared, her heart racing with conviction. We can create an event like a fundraiser, maybe. We can have a night where everyone shares stories. About this place, about the people we love. We can draw them back in. As Maya's mother joined them, concern etched on her face, Jenna felt a ripple of solidarity form with the little girl. Gently, she began to approach the other bystanders, a tremor of excitement coursing through her. There are so many people who love this restaurant, Jenna said, raising her voice to be heard over the crowd. Let us not just stand here, let us share the stories that made it special. Who's in? At first, a few people exchanged uncertain glances, eyebrow furrows etched with disbelief. But soon, a woman stepped forward, her determination evident. Count me in. I've got a story about how the owner saved my husband's job. Another voice chimed in, and I can bring my old photographs from when my family first visited. This place is special to so many. Jenna felt the air shift, excitement spreading like wildfire. Each voice was an ember, igniting the flames of communal spirit. The more they shared ideas, the larger their vision grew. A warm glow wrapped around her, an almost tangible shield against the night's chill. I'll help promote it, Tom said, moving to support them. The local news might be interested in telling this story. I'll talk to some contacts. Jenna's heart soared, and she met Maya's grateful eyes. This wasn't just about rebuilding a restaurant. It was about reuniting a community that had faced tragedy. In meetings over the next few days, they scribbled plans on napkins, debated themes for the fundraiser, considered how to make it a night filled with not just remembrance but joy. Friends and family joined the cause, offering support and resources, from the bakery who promised to provide pastries to the local band that would come to play. As the vision began to take shape, Jenna felt hope rise in her chest. But deep down, a gnawing fear echoed in her thoughts. What if no one came? They stood on the brink of something monumental, and yet the shadow of doubt lingered. Would the community embrace the event? Could their stories really rebuild what had been lost? Jenna, we're doing this together, her father reminded her, his hand resting on her shoulder. Even if just a few come, that's enough. What if the stories are enough? Maya whispered, her small face illuminated by the streetlights lining their path home. As they walked, the possibilities danced between them like fireflies, promising connection in the midst of chaos. But as Jenna turned to look back at the glowing embers still flickering in the distance, doubts bubbled to the surface. Could storytelling truly weave their community back together? The weight of unanswered questions pressed down, and Jenna found herself caught between hopeful anticipation and the fear of failure. She understood they were all embarking on a journey that could lead to something beautiful. And that truth was both exhilarating and terrifying. As the first soft light of dawn broke over the horizon and painted the sky with hues of pink and gold, Jenna knew the challenge ahead was larger than anything they had faced before, and she was determined to see it through. What would they discover about themselves and each other in the process? Only time would tell. The day of the fundraiser arrived, and the community center buzzed with activity. Banners flapped in the breeze. Their bright colors symbolized resilience. Tables were set with flickering candles and heartwarming photos, transforming the space into a gallery of memories. As Jenna stood back, a wave of panic curled around her stomach, but excitement lit her eyes. People filed in slowly at first, unsure of what to expect. Her heart raced as she watched familiar faces appear, each one a piece of a puzzle waiting to fit together. Tom stood by her side, offering quiet encouragement. Remember, he said softly, every story shared is a step toward healing. Jenna nodded, though anxiety twitched beneath her skin. She glanced at Maya, who clung to her mother's hand, a mirror of anticipation and uncertainty. But when the first stories began to flow, magic happened. An elderly man stood, his hands trembling as he recalled how the restaurant had helped his daughter find her footing after losing her job. A woman followed, her voice shaking with emotion as she spoke of the warm meals and conversations that kept her afloat through dark times. Each story was like a thread, weaving their community closer together. As people broke into laughter or tearful smiles, Jenna felt something shift within her. The echoes of love for the restaurant were more potent than she'd ever imagined. Your father did really well getting the crowd here, Tom whispered, nodding toward the front where her dad stood talking animatedly with a group of patrons. Jenna felt warmth bloom in her chest. For so long, their conversations had been tied to expectations, tense with unspoken fears. But tonight, he seemed to radiate pride. The evening soared, and Jenna took her turn at the microphone. The room settled into a charged silence, and she found the strength in her own vulnerability. "Tonight isn't just about a restaurant," she began, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's about the connections that tie us together, the stories that shape who we are. We all have tales that need telling and hearts that need healing." With every word, she pulled on the invisible strings connecting them, a tapestry of shared memories, laughter, struggles, and dreams. And right then, she saw her father's eyes welling up. It was a revelation that settled like a blanket over her fears. In that moment, she understood this wasn't just about what was lost. It was about reclaiming their sense of home together. As she stepped down, people surged toward her, the gratitude palpable. Maya hugged her tight, her joy contagious, and her mother beamed with appreciation. It was as if everything Jenna had hoped for had come to fruition in that space, transcending loss and fear. But before they wrapped up the night, Jenna looked at Tom, who stood nearby admiring the transformation in the air. "We have to raise funds so this place can reopen," she said, excitement bubbling. "Let us make it happen," he replied, eager enthusiasm emanating from him. "We can set up a more permanent solution like a community fund to help with repairs and improvements." Jenna felt the energy electrify. "Let us take donations now, encourage everyone to give what they can. And I can talk to other businesses about sponsorships for the next event." They swung into action, organizing a sign-up sheet alongside a donation box. The outpouring of support felt like a tidal wave. People didn't just want to share stories. They wanted to actively rebuild. As donations flowed in, Jenna caught her father's eye across the room. This night had changed them both. It marked the moment they found common ground. Without hesitating, he joined her side, and they faced the crowd together, a unified force of love and commitment. "Thank you all for coming," he called out, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "My daughter reminded me how important this place is, not just for our family, but for every family in this community. We'll come back stronger, together." The applause erupted louder than Jenna had ever heard, each clap igniting her spirit even more. They wouldn't just restore a restaurant. They would rebuild their lives, a tapestry woven from courage, connection, and the kind of love that would last long beyond the night. As the evening slowly faded into night, Jenna realized that this was just the beginning of her journey. With Tom standing beside her, and her father finally beginning to bridge the gap between them, the future felt bright. So much had changed since that flight, and she felt a sense of purpose blossoming deep within her. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but it would be hers. And she was ready to embrace every moment of it. In the stillness of the night, as laughter faded and the last goodbyes were shared, Jenna took a breath and closed her eyes. Yes, this was the moment she was meant to seize. It wasn't just about following someone else's dreams. It was about crafting her own reality. Would you like to be part of Jenna's journey? If you don't want to miss out on these inspiring stories, you need to subscribe now. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and help us spread the message of hope and community. Comment about your own transformative moments. Your stories matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the power of supporting our channel.